Hello everyone. Today we will have a small introduction for principal component analysis. As I had mentioned in the introductory class, this is basically one of the dimension reduction techniques for multivariate dataset. We saw while discussing curves of dimensionality that visualization becomes impossible when you have more than say three-dimensional data. That's why there are various dimension reduction techniques available in literature and PCA is one of those. Okay. So as I said, main aim of PCA is dimension reduction, but there are some other uses also. So one of the other uses is for unsupervised classification. Okay. What is meant by supervised and unsupervised? We'll see in a minute. So see, there are two types of classification. One type is when you already know the classes, but you just try to find out a rule by which those classes can be explained. Okay. So suppose you have say a group of objects and someone has already told you that okay, these are the objects, but we can classify these objects into three groups, and a person has also told you which object belongs to which group. Okay. So you have three objects, so you have many objects grouped into three groups. Now one of the job in a classification task is to find out a rule by which these three groups can be explained. Okay. So for example, let me have say fruits. Okay. So suppose someone tells you that apple and say watermelon are in one group, and let's say guava, grape are in another group, and you have to now think why these groups. Okay, so perhaps these are naturally sweet to taste, these are likely to be sour. So taste can possibly be one of the rules which can explain these groups. So this becomes supervised classification. So in supervised classification, the class information is known. Okay, the class information or group information is known. Your job is to find out a rule by which these classes or these groups can actually be determined. Okay, whereas PCA I said is used in unsupervised classification. Now what is an unsupervised classification? In unsupervised classification, classes are not given. Only the data is given, only the objects are given. It's up to you. So you can decide using the data. Data means here the variables on which the information is available. You will try to find if naturally there are some classes in the data. Okay. So you will have information on some variable. So if I again consider fruits, there are hundreds of things that I can measure about a fruit. Okay. Or that I can record about a fruit. But we will focus on very few of them. So very few of them means what? Suppose the data set gives me say size of the fruit in three categories: small, medium, big. Then say season of the fruit. Okay, whether it comes in summer, whether it comes in winter, and let's say color of the fruit. Then using only these three variables, color we will say outer color. Okay, inner color can be different. So using only these three variables, can I form some groups in the fruits? That would become unsupervised classification. So PCA can actually be used for unsupervised classification also. Third use of principal component analysis is for what is known as principal component regression. Okay, so what is this? In regression, you might have, or in future you might come across a word called multicollinearity. Now what is multicollinearity? So suppose you have a response variable y. I hope everyone knows what is regression, that much. And you have regressors x1, x2, x3. Okay, so for example, y can be say height of a person, and x1 can be mother's height, x2 can be father's height, and x3 can be say some dietary supplements that the person is taking. Okay. So now we are trying to explain height of a person via mother's height, father's height and dietary supplements. So these three are regressors. Now some of the variables, some of these regressors can be correlated. For example, mother's height and father's height can possibly be correlated. People generally tend to take height as a factor while choosing their partner, right? So taller people tend to marry taller people. Hence, these variables might be correlated. So if the regressors are correlated, then that leads to a problem in regression called as multicollinearity. Because correlated regressors, if they are highly correlated, then it increases the variance of the estimates, thereby decreasing the preciseness in your estimation. So what do I mean by this? Whatever confidence intervals you get for predictions, they will be very wide, and as a result, regression would not be very useful. Similarly, whatever estimates of beta you get, say beta naught hat, beta 1 hat, etc., those would have very high variance, and hence their reliability would be less. Okay, so this multicollinearity is an issue, and one of the solutions for that is to go for principal component regression. So what is this? This basically means that we use principal component analysis to convert regressors into orthogonal, means uncorrelated regressors. Okay, because correlation was causing the problem. So once you make them uncorrelated, things are sorted out. Okay, so these are three major uses of PCA. Once we discuss PCA in detail, later we will see how each of these things is done in practice. Okay, so let me now discuss what is PCA. So you know why to study PCA, because there are these uses. Now what is PCA? So let me consider a small example. Suppose I have bivariate data. Okay, so I have say height here and I have say weight here. So generally height and weight are supposed to be positively correlated. So if I draw a scatter plot of height and weight, I might get something like this. Okay. Now suppose I tell you something about height of a person. So suppose a person has this height. Now normally range of the weight is from this point to this point. So range of the weight is normally quite wide. But if I tell you that height of that person is here, then you can have a more precise guess about the weight. Then you will say that weight is most likely to be in this range. Okay. So when you have information about height, you already know something about weight. Okay, so now weight is no longer providing you 100% new information. You already know something about the weight. As a result, the new information that you get from second variable is limited. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why we use PCA. We want variables to give newer and newer information. Similarly, another important fact is in statistics, variation is information. You should always remember this. Okay, variation is information. Why variation is information? Let me give a small example. So a couple of days back, some of you people visited the department. Okay, you had come for some document submission and then we met. Now I don't know names of any of you actually. So suppose now today one more person comes to my office and we start talking, and I say that okay, I met a few people few days back. Then you ask me, okay, whom did you meet? And I say okay, let me try and describe. Suppose I want to describe one particular person. Now what sort of information would you expect from me? Maybe something about, so I am describing a new person whose name I don't know, and I'm describing because I want you to guess. So I might say something about height, I might say something about weight, right? If I tell you that the person I met had a head, 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears. I have given you information on so many variables. Is it really useful? No, because almost all of us have these things. Almost all of us have 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs, 1 nose, 1 head, etc. So the information I give, even though I have given you information on so many variables, number of eyes, number of legs, number of hands, number of heads, so many variables, but this information is completely useless. On the other hand, if I tell you that the person had say long hair or short hair, whether the person wore specs or not, whether the person was tall or short, these points can tell me more about that person, right? Even though the number of variables here is now less. Hence, variation is information. Only those variables which have variation across the values of across different observations would be useful. They would actually provide some real information. Others would just be, redundant pieces of information. Okay. Hence, the key principle in statistics and specifically in principal component analysis is variation is information. Now, how am I going to talk about that? See, range for weight is this. Range for height is roughly this. Okay. But now, if I consider spread in this direction, okay, then this spread is maximum. Length of this spread is maximum. Correct. See, for any rectangle, length of the diagonal is more than length of the adjacent sides. So this and this, both lengths are smaller than this. So maximum spread is in this direction. Okay. So if I have some variable which can actually, which takes values across this direction, then that variable will have highest variation and hence it would be most informative variable. Okay. Are you following what I am trying to say? Let me repeat. If I can define a variable which takes values across this direction, okay, in which direction the spread is maximum, then I can talk much more about that variable because that variable would be more informative in the sense it would have more variation. Okay, so by looking at this principle, I can say the variable which would be in this direction would be most informative. Okay, hence we will say that this is most informative variable and this is exactly what principal component analysis tries to do. So it tries to rotate the original coordinate system. Okay, it tries to rotate the original coordinate system in such a way as to get the first important axis in the direction of this most informative or most like the axis which has high variation. Okay, so you rotate this, so this becomes this, and of course next axis has to be 90 degrees with this. Okay, so you rotate the original coordinate system so that the first axis is along the direction of maximum variation in the data. Okay, the first axis is along the direction of maximum variation in the data. Now here I have only 2D data set, only bivariate data set. So second axis automatically becomes this. But when you have multiple variables, more than 2 variables, you have a choice for second axis also. So you choose second axis to be along the direction of second most variation. Second axis is orthogonal to the first axis. Of course, that has to be there. Orthogonal to the first axis and is along the direction of second largest variation. Okay, is along the direction of second largest variation in the data. Then third axis is orthogonal to both the first and second axis and is along the direction of third largest variation. Thus you get a completely new coordinate system, which is nothing but a rotated version of the old coordinate system. Okay, you get a new coordinate system which is nothing but rotated version of the old coordinate system. And what is the relationship between new and old? You can again go to this bivariate graph. We said that this orange line is the one along which you'll have the first principal component. And you know this is basically some straight line which is formed by taking x and y into consideration. Correct. So the new axis or the principal components are basically linear combinations of the existing variables. Principal components are nothing but the linear combinations of the original variable. And how do you choose coefficients of those linear combinations? That comes from this variation part. Okay, so you choose first linear combination to be that which has largest variation. Variation in the sense variance. You choose second linear combination to be that which has second largest variance and is orthogonal to the first one. Okay, and because they are orthogonal, they become uncorrelated also. Because the second principal component is orthogonal to the first principal component, it becomes uncorrelated. Okay, so principal components are nothing but linear combinations of the original variables, and they are obtained by rotating the original coordinate system in such a way that the first axis, first principal component, is now along the direction of maximum variation. Second principal component is now along the direction of second maximum variation, and so on. Okay, so this is just a non-mathematical introduction of PCA. Things would be further clear when we go for the actual mathematical derivations. Okay, so in the next lecture we would start with that. So let me stop here. Thank you.